Welcome back to the Fluent Academy. In today's story, we'll follow Emily, a kind-hearted woman who faces a surprising challenge when her beloved cat, Oliver, goes missing. As you listen, you'll learn useful English phrases to describe emotions, ask for help, and share experiences. Feel free to repeat the key phrases with me to practice your pronunciation. If you enjoy this story, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who are learning English too. All right, let's dive into Oliver's adventure, a tale of kindness and community. Chapter 1, The Discovery. It was a quiet Saturday morning. Emily sat on her couch, sipping coffee and reading her favorite book. The sunlight streamed through the window, and everything seemed peaceful. She glanced around the room and smiled. "Oliver?" she called out softly, expecting her cat to jump onto her lap as he usually did. But there was no response. She stood up and looked around the living room. "Oliver, where are you?" she said, a little louder this time. Emily walked into the kitchen, checking under the table and behind the chairs. No sign of him. Maybe he's napping in the bedroom, she thought, heading upstairs. She opened the door and looked under the bed, his usual hiding spot. But Oliver wasn't there either. A sense of worry began to creep in. She checked every corner of the house, behind the curtains, inside closets, even the bathroom. Still no Oliver. Emily's heart raced. "Did I leave the back door open?" she whispered to herself, rushing to the garden. She scanned the bushes, the flower beds, and even the fence. There was no sign of her white and black cat anywhere. Taking a deep breath, Emily tried to stay calm. She grabbed her phone and opened the camera roll. She found a clear picture of Oliver and decided to ask her neighbors for help. Chapter 2, Asking the Neighbors. With her phone in hand, Emily stepped out into the sunny neighborhood. The streets were quiet, and the sound of birds filled the air. She approached the house next door, where Mrs. Harris, an elderly woman, was watering her garden. "Good morning, Mrs. Harris," Emily said, trying to sound calm. "Have you seen my cat, Oliver? He's black and white, with a little pink nose." She held up the picture on her phone. Mrs. Harris adjusted her glasses and leaned closer. "Oh, Emily, I'm sorry. I haven't seen him today, but I'll keep an eye out," she said with a kind smile. "Thank you," Emily replied, forcing a smile as she moved to the next house. At the corner, she saw Mr. Thompson, who was busy fixing his bike. "Hi, Mr. Thompson," she called out. "I'm looking for my cat, Oliver. Have you seen him?" Mr. Thompson shook his head. "No, I haven't, but maybe check near the park. Cats love to wander over there." Emily nodded. "Thanks for the tip." She continued walking down the street, asking neighbors and showing them Oliver's picture. Some people hadn't seen him, while others offered guesses. A little boy riding his scooter stopped when he heard her question. "I saw a black and white cat near the store," he said excitedly. Emily's eyes lit up. "Really? Which store?" "The one on Maple Street," he replied, pointing in that direction. "Thank you," Emily said, giving the boy a grateful smile before hurrying off. Chapter 3, The Clue at the Park. Emily walked quickly down Maple Street, her heart racing. She could feel the hope growing inside her as she approached the store. She looked around, but there was no sign of Oliver. She walked past the store, glancing into the windows of nearby shops, hoping to catch a glimpse of her cat. Just as she was about to turn around, she saw an elderly man sitting on a bench at the park across the street. "Excuse me, sir," she called out politely. "Have you seen a black and white cat around here? His name is Oliver." The man looked up from his newspaper and smiled. "Ah, yes, I did see a cat like that earlier today. He was near the swings." Emily's eyes widened. "Near the swings? Thank you so much." She ran toward the park, excitement and worry mixing together. The playground was busy, with children laughing and playing. Emily walked around the swings, checking carefully, but there was no Oliver. She crouched down, peering under the slide and looking behind the playground equipment. Still nothing. Emily felt a bit disappointed, but she refused to give up. She sat on one of the benches, taking a deep breath to calm herself. He has to be here somewhere, she whispered to herself. Just then, a woman jogged past with her dog. Emily waved her down. "Excuse me, have you seen a cat? Black and white." The woman paused. "Oh, yes. I saw a cat run into the bushes over there," she said, pointing to a small patch of trees at the edge of the park. "Thank you," Emily called, her spirits lifting again as she rushed to the spot. Chapter 4. The Unexpected Help. Emily pushed aside a few branches, carefully stepping into the patch of bushes. She called softly, "Oliver?" "It's me, Emily," but only heard the rustling of leaves in return. Suddenly, a young boy appeared from behind the trees, holding something tightly in his hands. He looked up at Emily with a curious expression. "Did you lose your cat?" the boy asked, his eyes wide with concern. Emily nodded quickly. "Yes, his name is Oliver. Did you see him?" The boy smiled and nodded. "He was stuck in the bushes. I found him." He held out Oliver carefully, cradled in his arms. "Oh, thank you," Emily exclaimed, her voice full of relief as she took Oliver gently. Her cat looked scared but was unharmed. She hugged him tightly, tears welling up in her eyes. The boy watched quietly. "You must love him a lot," he said softly. "I do," Emily replied, wiping away a tear. She smiled down at Oliver, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you for helping," Emily said, turning to the boy with a warm smile. The boy shrugged modestly. "It's no problem. I like animals," he said before running off back to his own game. Emily sat down on the nearby bench, holding Oliver close. "You're safe now," she whispered to her cat, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. Chapter 5. The Journey Home. Emily held Oliver tightly in her arms as she walked out of the park. Her heart was still racing from the excitement, but relief had taken over. "Let's go home, buddy," she whispered, stroking his soft fur. The streets were quieter now, and the golden light of the setting sun cast long shadows on the pavement. As Emily walked, she noticed neighbors smiling and waving at her. "You found him," Mrs. Harris called from her garden, her face lighting up with joy. Emily smiled back. "Yes, thanks for keeping an eye out." When she reached her front door, Emily paused for a moment. She looked down at Oliver and laughed softly. "You scared me today, you know that." Oliver gave a soft meow as if he understood. Once inside, Emily placed Oliver gently on the couch. He stretched lazily, already looking more relaxed. She filled his bowl with fresh food and water, watching as he eagerly began to eat. Sitting down next to him, Emily sighed. "Today was an adventure, wasn't it?" she said, running her fingers through his fur. She thought about the people who had helped her, the kind neighbors, the boy at the park. It warmed her heart to know she wasn't alone in her worry. As Oliver purred softly beside her, Emily picked up her phone. She decided to write a quick message in the neighborhood chat group. "Thank you, everyone, for your help today. Oliver is safe and sound at home now. I appreciate all your kindness." Almost immediately, responses started coming in. "So glad he's home." "What a relief." "Yay, Oliver." Emily smiled, feeling a strong sense of connection with her community. She leaned back on the couch, finally at peace. Chapter 6. A Lesson to Remember. That evening, Emily sat by the window with a warm cup of tea in her hands. Oliver was curled up on her lap, his soft purring filling the quiet room. The stars were beginning to appear in the night sky, and everything felt calm again. As she looked at Oliver, Emily couldn't help but reflect on the day. "You taught me something important today," she said softly, stroking his fur. She thought about how worried she'd been and how strangers had stepped up to help her. It reminded her that even in difficult moments, kindness and connection could make all the difference. Emily picked up a small notebook from the side table. She had started using it to write down little moments of gratitude, and today she had plenty to add. "Today, I learned that it's okay to ask for help," she wrote. "People are kinder than you think, and a little bit of hope goes a long way." She paused for a moment, looking down at Oliver. "And I learned that I should keep a closer eye on you," she added with a playful smile. Oliver stretched, his paw lightly brushing her arm, and Emily laughed. "All right, you're forgiven this time," she said, leaning down to kiss the top of his head. The day's events had been stressful, but as Emily sat there with her loyal companion, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. She knew that every challenge came with its lessons and that she and Oliver were stronger together. With a final sip of her tea, Emily closed her notebook and set it aside. "Good night, Oliver," she whispered, turning off the light. The room grew quiet, but the warmth of the day's memories lingered. Thank you for joining us on Emily and Oliver's heartwarming journey. Through this story, you've learned how to describe emotions, ask for help, and connect with others, all essential skills for real-life English conversations. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Fluent Academy for more engaging stories to boost your English skills. And here's a challenge for you. Leave a comment below using one of the phrases we highlighted today. Maybe tell us about a time you needed help or how a pet has taught you something valuable. Remember, every word you learn brings you closer to fluency. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.